My wife got drunk at a party and disappeared. When she returned, she remembered nothing the night my wife disappeared. The music was still echoing in my ears when I realized her hand had slipped out of mine, and this time it wasn't coming back. It wasn't unusual for her to laugh louder than everyone else at parties, or to spin around the dance floor like she owned the moment. That was her charm, the light she carried into every room. But that night, something felt different. Something I couldn't name at first. Maybe it was the way her smile lingered too long, or how her eyes looked just a little too distant, like she was chasing something invisible. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. You never know whose life a simple story might touch. The party was loud, crowded, and filled with strangers pretending to know each other. I remember turning away for just a minute, just 1 minute, to grab a drink. When I turned back, she was gone. At first, I thought she'd gone to the washroom or stepped outside for fresh air. But minutes turned into an hour and my heartbeat started matching the pounding music. I searched everywhere. I checked every room, every corner, every shadow. Her phone was off. Her friends hadn't seen her. And slowly, panic began to crawl up my chest like a cold hand gripping my heart. That night stretched into the longest hours of my life. I drove around the city until dawn, checking hospitals, calling her name into empty streets like a madman. Every worst-case scenario ran through my mind. Accidents, kidnapping, something terrible I couldn't even say out loud. My thoughts turned darker with every passing minute. When the sun rose, I was still searching. And then, just when I thought I was about to break completely, I saw her. She was sitting on the side of a quiet road, barefoot, her dress slightly torn, her hair tangled as if the wind had been pulling at it all night. She looked lost. Not just physically, but in a way that felt deeper, like something inside her had been disconnected. I rushed to her, my heart collapsing and rebuilding at the same time. She looked at me, but her eyes didn't recognize me. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just stared at me like I was a stranger standing too close. And when I said her name, softly at first and then desperately, she shook her head. She said she didn't remember, not the party, not the night, not even me. That moment shattered something inside me that I didn't even know existed. Taking her home felt surreal, like I was bringing back someone who looked exactly like my wife, but had left her soul behind somewhere I couldn't reach. She sat quietly in the passenger seat, watching the passing roads like a child seeing the world for the first time. At home, everything felt unfamiliar to her. The walls, the photos, the little things that once made her smile, they meant nothing now. She touched them like artifacts from someone else's life. I tried to stay strong. I told myself this was temporary, that memory comes back, that love finds its way. But deep down, fear had already made a home inside me. Days turned into weeks. Doctors called it temporary memory loss, likely triggered by alcohol and stress. They said it could return gradually or not at all. There were no guarantees, no timelines, just hope, and hope is a dangerous thing when it's the only thing you have left. Living with her became both beautiful and painful. Beautiful because she was still kind, still gentle, still had that same softness in her heart. But painful because every moment reminded me that I was a stranger in her world now. I had to reintroduce myself. I had to tell her stories of us, like a narrator explaining a life she once lived. I showed her pictures of our wedding, vacations, late-night selfies. She would smile politely, sometimes laugh, but it wasn't the same. It didn't come from memory, it came from imagination. And that hurt more than anything. Some nights I would sit beside her while she slept and wonder if I had lost her forever. Not physically, but emotionally, completely. The woman I loved was still there, but she couldn't reach me anymore. I started breaking in ways I couldn't show. I smiled in front of her, reassured her, stayed patient. But when I was alone, I felt empty, like I was grieving someone who was still alive. People told me to be strong. They told me love would fix everything, but love doesn't always fix things. Sometimes it just makes the pain deeper. Weeks turned into months. Something slowly began to change. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't like the movies where everything comes back in a single moment. It was subtle, almost invisible. She started remembering small things. A song on the radio made her pause. A smell from the kitchen made her eyes soften. She couldn't explain why, but something inside her responded.